Welcome to the Friday edition of Juan's World, and today I'm doing something a little bit quirky. I'm going back to the streets of Phnom Penh, but there's a phenomenon that I have noticed repeatedly and have tried to document in the last few days because it's a bit curious. That is that there are certain kinds of businesses, sometimes retail, sometimes commercial, they're all clustered together in one spot, whereas there's others that are not. And you can see here I've got a picture of a small pharmacy to represent all the pharmacies in Phnom Penh. They do not cluster. There are pharmacies absolutely everywhere here. You can hardly walk 100 meters without bumping into a pharmacy. And I'm not sure why that is. It's not true in, let's say, the United States or in the United Kingdom, where there are certainly plenty of pharmacies, but you really have to go searching for them if you don't know where they are. Here, you just can't help it. And you do not have to have a prescription for just about everything that you can get medically here. You can get narcotics, you can get Viagra, you can get aspirin, you can get antibiotics. All you need to do is walk in and ask if they've got them. Now, the odd thing about pharmacies is that a great number of them don't have that much. I've been to many looking for aspirin because I always like to keep some on hand because it's a good blood thinner. So if by some accident I have a stroke, which I hope I don't, I have aspirin on hand so I can take 2 or 3 immediately to thin my blood and to stop the action of the stroke. But it's very hard to find. Sometimes you'll get low dosage aspirin because people use that for heart conditions, but something like 500 milligrams, very hard to find. And I have a pharmacy that I go to where I can get the aspirin. I can also get heart medications, I can get statins, I can get all kinds of things reliably. But in most pharmacies, I really have to hunt and peck. In fact, I don't know what people are actually using the pharmacies for. So that's pharmacies. They're scattered all over the place. But there are a lot of businesses that are all clustered in one spot. Now, what are they? And why are they all clustered in one spot? Let's find out. I'm not going to take you through every single place where there is a cluster of businesses that are all the same, but I'm going to show you a few, and I'm going to start outside of a temple that I was documenting and just walking along with my bicycle and came across a couple of things. First of all, this, which is just funny, and I thought I'd put it here. It's a set of 4 recycling bins. Except there's no bins in there, so it's just being used as a place for clutter. But as I walked slowly down this curve, I saw men with bits of metal, and they seemed to be polishing it and scraping it and painting it, and I thought, what is going on here? And they just kept coming, like one after the other after the other. And I realized they were doing body work on motorcycles. You know, they were removing dents or repainting or polishing or what have you. And you can quite clearly see it here. And there were just 5 or 6 or 7, I don't honestly remember counting at this point, but they're all in the same place. Now, why they should all be here outside the pagoda, I have no idea. But this is what started me thinking. So then I did a number of videos, and this next one is of Armenian surplus places. I don't know what they call them here, but they are selling military grade equipment like boots and shirts, jackets, camo stuff, what have you. And there's just one after another after another. I don't again remember how many there were. I just happened to stop here one morning on my way to do some errands, and realized that here they're all squished together, every one of them selling essentially the same merchandise. So I want to know why this is the case. Why should everyone who sells the same merchandise be cheek by jowl with everybody else? And I'll have an answer in a minute, but let me get on to another location. This time is a little further down Russian Federation Boulevard. The military surplus places are near my apartment in Russian Federation Boulevard. But now we're going to go way, way down towards the airport. And there are a number of places that sell building materials, not do-it-yourself stuff. There is another place which I haven't documented in Mao Zedong Boulevard, where you can go and get odds and ends if you're fixing up your house. Like replacing things in your sink or in your electrical equipment or whatever. Now this is major building yards, and so they're very big, and they've got all kinds of tanks and bricks and all manner of heavy duty stuff. And it's out here by the airport because there's a lot of open space, a lot of places where you can store big bulky equipment. And then right next to that, going further down towards the end of the airport, are places where they make and sell a lot of religious items. So in between the builders' yards and the religious items, there was a temple. So I went inside just to give you an idea of the kind of statuary and various other items that the pagodas need. And you'll see here various ones, highly decorated for the most part. But what really, really, really intrigues me about pagodas, and I've discussed this a little bit with a couple of my students, but I need to delve deeper. Like you notice here that these statues, some of them are Cambodian, very clearly. They represent angels or gods or something of the sort, something metaphysical. And then you got Hindu statues. You've got something like Shiva and Ganesh that have nothing to do with Buddhism whatsoever. But the thing is that the country was Hindu before it became Buddhist. In the Angkor period, at the beginning of the Angkor period, the country was Hindu, or the empire, I should say. It wasn't a country at the time. It was Hindu, and it converted to Buddhism over time. But there are layers of different religious traditions inherent in all of the pagodas. In some of them you'll find the Chinese zodiac, which has nothing to do with Buddhism either. So the places that sell the statues have to cater to a wide variety of interests. Now, another thing I want to show you here just briefly is the marquee. I'm not sure, I think it's a wedding, and because weddings can take place in a number of places. They set up marquees on the streets, and I'm going to show you those in the next video, I suspect. They can take place in professional halls, which I think I've already done a video on somewhere or other, but I'll probably do another one at some point. Or they can take place in the pagodas. I'm not sure what the difference is. When they take place on the street, then they're normally close to one of the family's houses or something of the sort. But that's something that I need to get a little bit deeper into. Why some people would choose to have a marquee in a pagoda as opposed to on the street. But anyway, that's the pagoda itself. And now when we go back out, there we'll see various kinds of statues and other paraphernalia. There's gigantic statues and small statues. There's also a lot of shrines. These shrines are set up outside of people's houses or businesses where they can present offerings and incense and so forth. And towards the end of this particular stretch, we'll see one outside of a business. And this is getting further and further away from the center towards the south, almost to the end of the city limits, at the end of the airport runway. And so now I'm just going to show you a very old video that I took back when I was teaching in a Bible college, which is not far from here. And on the way home, I took a video one time just to show the statuary. And so here it is. You can see it's intermingled with the furniture stores, but this is a very common business right at this tip of the airport, where there's a lot of space where people can they can actually craft the statues. You can't see them doing it in these videos, but they do actually make them and paint them and so forth. And they have the space and the open air to be able to do it. All right, so that's my video for today. I'll get into more detail at some point about the clustering of the businesses. I think that one of the reasons that they are clustered, as we've seen now, is because of space issues. But the other issue has to do with the fact that they're not items that you buy every day. They're things that you go out of your way to buy, like a camo jacket, for example. You don't buy one every day. Maybe you buy one once a year at most. And when you do, you don't have to run around everywhere looking for bargains or comparison shopping or whatever. You've got everything all located in the same place, so that a buyer can look around and go from one shop to another and make a decision. So it's slightly more complicated than I thought at first, but it's an interesting phenomenon in Phnom Penh. So I will do more on Tuesday. If you like my videos, please subscribe, tell your friends, and have a good weekend.